Hey, what's going on, social media world? So I just wanted to attempt to quickly update you all on my second Ocrevus infusion. Now, I'm not going to make you all sit through these stories to get word that it went well ultimately, and I do feel it's helping. Okay. Now, with that being said, I'll say this. Technic- Technically, I was supposed to get my second half dose of the infusion like a month and a half ago. But because of the fact that I had an emergency room visit in the meantime, and I'll tell you all about that as well, I had the emergency room visit a few days before I was supposed to get my second half dose. And you know, the doses are supposed to be separated by 2 weeks, around 2 weeks, and the half doses. But I had to go to the emergency room because after the first dose, I'm feeling so good. I was starting to feel better, and I was like, you know what? I can't just sit around and wait for magic to happen. I have to put in the work, which I still believe is true. As my doctor says, I have to sort of find a more happy medium. So what I tried to do was walk around the house outside. And I knew it was 95-degree heat, and I knew that in times past, 95-degree heat would send me right back into the house quickly. But post Ocrevus and stuff, I guess, the 95-degree heat didn't knock me down as fast. So I was like, oh wow, I feel good. You see, I got a haircut, but this needs to be brushed. Anyway, I was like, okay, I'm feeling good. Let me walk a little bit farther. Because initially what I was going to do was just walk around the side of the house outside and just go back in and be like, yay. But I was feeling good, so good, and I took a few more steps, literally a few more steps, and I turned around, walked back to the house. I made it. It took some work to get up the steps of the front door, but I went ahead and did it. Now, after I made it to the top of the steps, I dropped my cane all the way to the bottom of the steps. And that's where the fun began. So, without a cane, I was like, okay, well, maybe I should just try to scoot down the steps. You know, the 95-degree steps. And I scooted down, made it to the bottom of the steps. It took some time. You know, I had been, anyway, yes, you know the whole story as far as me going a little bit farther. And so I was weaker. And I initially, while the heat didn't bother me as much, scooting down the steps, I got to the bottom of the steps very weak, but I was able to pick up the cane and put the cane at the top of the steps. But I was not able at that time to push myself back up the steps. And I just sat in that heat, that 95-degree heat, and cooked, honestly, on the cement steps until I had gotten so weak that I was just hunched over, and I was like, help. Someone please help. It's hard for me to relive this, but it's what happened. And eventually, one of my housemates saw, well, technically, he saw a person on the steps, and he's like, somebody's on our he said to one of the other roommates, somebody's on our steps hunched over. I don't know what's going on. And my other roommate was like, what color shirt did he have on? And he was like, an orange shirt or something. And my other roommate was like, that's Aaron. Oh my gosh, let's go get him. And they went outside, and I was so weak. And they tried. I greatly appreciate my housemates. I will honestly say, I feel that they truly saved my life, because I was just on those 95-degree steps cooking. And in my mind, I was like, well, maybe eventually the sun will go down. But it was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So I had some hours before it would have gone down. So if they didn't find me, I would have... Anyway, ultimately, they realized that I wasn't getting up on my own. So they picked me up and brought me into the house and called 911. 911 took me to the emergency room. While at the emergency room, I felt a pain in my leg, and I'm like, ow. And I picked up, like, looking at my leg, and the nurse was like, oh my gosh, you have burns. And I was like, what? And I was starting to come to, being able to relax, but in the ER. But I was getting my strength. I was in the process of getting my strength back. And she was like, oh, you have burns. And the doctor came in, and the doctor was like, oh, yeah. In addition to everything that you went through, you also have 2nd-degree burns. Because while I was sitting on those steps, unable to push myself up and move, I just sat and cooked. Anyway, so that's that story. My burns are still healing. My doctor suggested arnica, so I'm taking that in addition to, I had gotten some of this stuff at the hospital. Then I put some of the cream on. It's silver something. And, it's been a few weeks. It's been a long time. I shouldn't have left you. I'm healing. There are still times that I leak blood. I do. I'm not in as much pain as I was. Hallelujah. Okay? Now, part of the reason I wanted to do this video was to talk about what people getting the Ocrevus infusion in this time of COVID. Food for thought, I guess. Some tips, ideas. Anyway, my primary care physician, she went to Harvard. She is a genius. She is. And not because she went to Harvard, but she is a genius. And I'm grateful to have a primary care physician like her. Anyway, she said because in this time of COVID-19, my immune system is not as strong as everyone else's. So she said I should take extra precaution, and the extra precaution comes in the form of one, vitamin C. She always says vitamin C is good. And vitamin D in liquid form, because she said the body doesn't really process vitamin D like the pill quite as well as it does liquid. And zinc. So I take those 3 every day. And I'm also still taking my black seed oil. So, yeah, the infusion center, when I told them I went to the emergency room, they were like, oh, you've been to the emergency room? We're going to have to cancel your appointment for 3 days from now. Actually, it was 2 days from now, because you had to go to the emergency room this weekend, and I was supposed to get my second half-dose infusion on Wednesday. And they were like, nope, we're going to have to cancel that. You're going to need a COVID-19 test. So we're going to have to push it back 14 days. And I was like, what? Anyway, FYI, if you go to the emergency room, it seems like in at least some cases, depending on the layout of your infusion center, they will delay your infusion until after you get your COVID-19 test. And I got it. It came back negative in 3 days. And I was like, we don't need to wait the whole 14 days. Infuse me now. They were like, no, sorry. You're going to have to wait until August still. I was like, oh, okay. How long are we? 12 minutes. Okay. Well, yeah. But that's the story. And I do feel it's helping me again as I am overcoming these burns, the pain from the burns on my leg, which makes it more difficult to move. As I am overcoming that, I'm noticing that things are getting stronger. So, hallelujah again. Anyway, talk to y'all later, social media world. Peace. Stay blessed. Yeah. Yeah. I feel I'm headed in the right direction in more ways than one. Also, I'm moving, you guys. Well, actually, let me not share that. It looks like I might probably be moving. Talk to y'all later. Peace. Stay blessed.